Hi. Let us today discuss about the fetal circulation. Uh, at the end of this topic, I think you people will be knowing about these questions which are commonly put to you in the examination, like what is the source of oxygenation in the fetal circulation? Unlike in the adult circulation, it is the lungs. In the fetal circulation, it should be the placenta. Likewise, some important questions, important things you will be knowing, and what are they? How many times the shunting of the blood occurs in the fetal circulation? Number 2. Number 3, what is ductus venosus and its function? Number 4, the transeptal blood flow between the right atrium to left atrium is done by what? And number 5, the role of foramen ovale in fetal circulation. Number 6, the function of ductus arteriosus. Number 7, why in the fetal life the upper limb of the fetus is equal or slightly longer than that of the lower limbs. Deoxygenated blood flows in fetus is returned back to the placenta for oxygenation through what structures? Cause of the closure of the obliteration of the umbilical artery, foramen ovale and ductus arteriosus, and finally fate of umbilical artery, the left umbilical vein, the ductus venosus, ductus arteriosus after birth. For all these questions, the answer you will be knowing once you follow the circulation in the fetus based on this model. Okay? Now, this is a model which is kept in the Department of Anatomy for your exams, and this is a fetal body and it is getting the oxygenated blood. The fetus is receiving oxygenated from the placenta. This is the placenta. From the placenta through one vein. This one vein, which is the left umbilical vein. Through the left umbilical vein, the fetus is getting oxygenated blood from the placenta. Is it clear? There are two veins initially, left and right umbilical vein, but the right umbilical vein disappears and the left umbilical vein is left in the body. It's clear? So from the placenta through the left umbilical vein, the oxygenated blood is reaching the fetus, and this blood reaches the inferior vena cava. This is the inferior vena cava by two routes. The oxygenated blood receives the inferior vena cava by two routes. Most of the blood is reaching the inferior vena cava bypassing the liver through ductus venosus. This is the ductus venosus. Through the ductus venosus, most of the oxygenated blood is reaching the inferior vena cava, and this ductus venosus forms a shunt which connects the left umbilical vein directly with the left hepatic vein or inferior vena cava, thereby bypassing the blood to reach most of the blood to reach the liver, because the liver is grown enormous. Some amount of the blood circulates through the liver and then goes into the inferior vena cava. Because of this, the proportion of the growth of the liver in fetal life is more. It forms 1/18 of the total body weight in the fetal life, whereas in adults, the liver proportion size is 1/36 of the total body weight. Is it clear? Because of this, since the most of the blood is reaching the liver is growing enormously, this shunt is formed. What is this shunt? The shunt is ductus venosus. It connects the left umbilical vein with the inferior vena cava, thereby allowing the oxygenated blood bypassing the liver and reaching the inferior vena cava. On reaching the inferior vena cava, this inferior vena cava also receives the venous blood from the caudal parts of the fetal body. So it is mixed here. So oxygenated blood is coming from the left umbilical vein, whereas deoxygenated blood is coming from the caudal parts of the body of the fetus. So there lies a sphincteric mechanism within the caudal part of the ductus venosus here. So on systole, during contraction, the deoxygenated blood is allowed more in the inferior vena cava from the caudal body parts. On relaxation, it is the oxygenated blood coming from the left umbilical vein is predominant in the inferior vena cava. Is it clear? So on constriction, it is deoxygenated blood. On relaxation, it is the oxygenated blood. A sphincter regulates the act of ductus venosus here. On reaching the, this is the right atrium. On reaching the right atrium, when in diastole during relaxation, when the most of the oxygenated blood is reaching here, the valve of inferior vena cava, that is eustachian valve, the valve of the inferior vena cava, the eustachian valve, directs most of the blood to go into left atrium. Directs most of the blood to go into the left atrium through this opening. What is this opening? Foramen ovale. This opening is called as foramen ovale. So when during relaxation, during diastole, when most of the blood is oxygenated, that time the eustachian valve of the inferior vena cava directs the blood into left atrium. At the same time, the deoxygenated blood coming from the superior vena cava and some amount of the deoxygenated mixed blood which is deoxygenated here will be going into right ventricle. Is it clear? Will be going into right ventricle, whereas majority of the oxygenated blood will be going into left atrium through this opening or gap between the right atrium and the left atrium, that is called as the foramen ovale. Okay. Next. On the predominantly venous blood coming from the superior vena cava and from the inferior vena cava after reaching the right ventricle will go through this pulmonary trunk. Will go to the pulmonary trunk and will have three directional flow. Some amount of blood goes through the right pulmonary artery into the lungs. Some amount of the blood goes into left pulmonary artery and into the left lung. But the majority of the blood will go through this, that is called as the ductus arteriosus, through the ductus arteriosus into the arch of aorta. That is, the deoxygenated blood coming from the right ventricle will flow in three directions. Some amount into right lung through right pulmonary artery, some amount into left lung through left pulmonary artery, and majority will go through this communication, that is a ductus arteriosus, which is a communication between the left pulmonary artery and arch of aorta beyond the three main branches. Is it clear? This is ductus arteriosus. Okay. Why this is happening here? Because why this is happening? Okay, all those things I'll talk at the end. Okay. Then the oxygenated blood which is coming into the left atrium will flow into the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, it flows through the ascending aorta, arch of aorta, and through the arch of aorta, the three main branches, that is the brachiocephalic trunk, the left common carotid artery, and left subclavian artery. Through these branches, it is supplying the head and neck and brain and the upper limbs. On reaching, and some amount of the oxygenated blood passes downwards through the descending aorta. But on reaching this ductus arteriosus, it is getting mixed with the deoxygenated blood coming from the ductus arteriosus here. So this is a arch of aorta which is receiving the oxygenated blood. On reaching this portion, it is getting mixed with the deoxygenated blood coming from the ductus arteriosus, and then goes for circulation through the descending thoracic aorta, abdominal aorta, through the abdominal aorta and its branches, that is a common iliac artery, external iliac artery, internal iliac artery, and into circulation. Okay. the venous blood from the caudal parts of the body goes through this is internal iliac artery, and these are the branches. These two are the umbilical arteries, right? Two umbilical arteries. These two are the branches of the internal iliac artery. The venous blood is returned back to the placenta by these two arteries, that is the umbilical arteries, for circulation to the placenta, where in the placenta, in the intervillous spaces, by a process of diffusion, again it becomes oxygenated, and the oxygenated is again thrown back through the left umbilical vein again for the circulation. This is a process which is happening in the fetal circulation. Now, coming back to the questions which I have put before, what is the source of oxygenation? What is the source of oxygenation here in the fetal life? In the adult life, you know, it is the venous blood is being received by the right atrium from superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, and this blood flows to right ventricle. From the right ventricle through the pulmonary artery and its two branches, it is going to the lungs, and in the lungs it gets oxygenated, and through 4 pulmonary veins it enters into the left atrium. From the left atrium to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle to systemic circulation. This is the blood flow in the adults. In case of fetal life, the source of oxygenation is the placenta. From the placenta through only one vein, this vein is called as left umbilical vein. See, left umbilical vein is left in the body and the right umbilical vein disappears. So this left umbilical vein is the source for oxygenated blood in case of the fetal circulation. Okay, next question. How many times the shunting of the blood changes? Shunting of the blood, how many times it changes? I say it is 3 times. What are they? Number 1, at the ductus venosus. Okay, at the ductus venosus, the blood is shunted here from the left umbilical vein into inferior vena cava. Why it is happening? To prevent the more oxygenated blood flow to the liver, because it is already grown. Because of this reason, because of the enormous size of the liver, the physiological umbilical hernia occurs. There is no enough space in the fetal abdominal cavity for the enlargement or growth of the intestinal cavity. Hence, the physiological umbilical hernia occurs. So, the growth of the liver has to be stopped there. For that purpose, the ductus venosus is present, which bypasses the blood from the left umbilical vein directly into the inferior vena cava. This is the first shunt. Okay. Second shunt is here at the right atrium. When the more of the oxygenated blood is coming in the right atrium due to relaxation of the sphincter at the ductus venosus, then the valve of inferior vena cava, that is Eustachian valve, will direct the blood into the left atrium through foramen ovale. Is it clear? This is a second shunt. Why this has to happen? This has to happen because most of the oxygenated blood has to reach to the oxygen depleted tissues of the body like the brain regularly. For that purpose, instead of wasting time by passing through the right ventricle and going into the lungs where the oxygenation is being lost because of the bigger travel, hence from the right atrium the transeptal flow is happening so as to reach the blood as early as possible to the brain, and that is the reason why this transeptal flow is happening at the foramen ovale between the right atrium and the left atrium. Okay, and the third shunt is this one. Third shunt is ductus arteriosus. Why this has to be present? So as to return the most of the venous blood as early as possible back to the placenta. For that purpose, this ductus arteriosus is formed. Okay, and the fourth one, transeptal flow. Role of foramen ovale, we have said it is to allow the blood from the right atrium to the left atrium. And the fifth one, function of ductus arteriosus. This also I have said, this function of ductus arteriosus is to allow the deoxygenated blood to reach to the placenta as early as possible for filtration. Now, why in fetal life the length of the fetal upper limb is more or equal than that of the lower limb? Because most of the oxygenated blood is passing into the left atrium directly and is going into circulation through the arch of aorta and by these three branches. So these three branches are brachiocephalic trunk, left common carotid artery and left subclavian artery. Through these three branches, comparatively major portion of the oxygenated blood is going to the brain, head and neck, and through this left subclavian vein to this left subclavian vein and the brachiocephalic trunk to the upper limbs also. Since the upper limbs are receiving more oxygenated blood than that of the lower limbs, the growth of the upper limb in the fetal life is more than that of the lower limb. Okay. Next question. Cause of closure or obliteration of okay. Next, the third important shunt I can say is this one. The deoxygenated blood is going back for filtration to the placenta by these two umbilical arteries. Okay, these two umbilical arteries, it is going back. Okay. Now, at the time of the birth, once the fetus is born, these umbilical arteries first becomes obliterated by a mechanical stimulus, not by an autonomic stimulus. By a mechanical cause, the umbilical arteries gets obliterated so that the blood from the fetus immediately after birth is not allowed to enter back into the placenta. Few minutes after the obliteration of these umbilical arteries, then the umbilical vein becomes obliterated so that an additional amount of around 50 ml or more is being received by the fetus at the time of the birth, and later this umbilical vein, left umbilical vein, also obliterates. Okay, these umbilical arteries after birth are converted into, till the portion, let us think that somewhere here the urinary bladder is present. Till the portion of the urinary bladder, these umbilical arteries persist and remains pervious and forms superior vesical arteries. And the rest of the umbilical arteries distal to the urinary bladder becomes fibrosed and obliterated and forms the medial umbilical ligament. Is it clear now? The proximal part of the umbilical arteries forms superior vesical arteries. The distal larger portion of the umbilical arteries forms the medial umbilical ligament. Okay. This left umbilical vein, which is present along the free border of the falciform ligament within the umbilical cord, is obliterated and it becomes converted into ligamentum teres. This left umbilical vein is converted into ligamentum teres. This ductus venosus after birth is obliterated and is converted into ligamentum venosum. Ductus venosus is converted to ligamentum venosum. Left umbilical vein is converted into ligamentum teres. This foramen ovale is closed after birth because in the fetal life, the interatrial, the right atrial pressure is more than that of the left atrial pressure, whereas at the after birth, the pressure in the left atrium increases with eventual fall in the pressure in the right atrium due to stoppage of the oxygenated blood from the left umbilical vein. Because of these pressure changes, this foramen ovale is closed. Okay. And the ductus arteriosus after birth is converted into ligamentum arteriosum. Is it clear? These are all the changes occurring after birth. Is it clear? Okay. This is now all about the fetal circulation. The important questions in relation to the fetal circulation you need to know is, what is the source of oxygenation? How many times the shunting of the blood undergoes? What is ductus venosus and what is its function? What is transseptal blood flow and how it is done between the right atrium to the left atrium? What is the role of foramen ovale? What is the function of ductus arteriosus? Why in the fetal life the length of the upper limb is more or equal to that of the lower limb? Developmental blood from the fetus is returned back to the placenta for oxygenation through what structure? Causes of closure of obliteration of umbilical artery. The foramen ovale, the ductus arteriosus is done by what? And what is the fate of umbilical artery, umbilical vein, ductus venosus and ductus arteriosus after birth? The cause of closure of this ductus arteriosus is nervous. It is nervous because it is under the influence of the nerve control after birth and also by the increased tension of oxygen within the left atrium. That is the reason for the closure of this ductus arteriosus. The closure of the foramen ovale is because of the increased pressure in the left atrium than that of the right atrium. The closure of the umbilical arteries is mechanical one. The closure of this one umbilical vein is a nervous one. This is all about the fetal circulation. Hope you understood. Thank you.